Hello and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge video. The support has been amazing so far. Thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. You guys seem to really enjoy my Can You Beat Pokemon Crystal using only gift Pokemon video, so I decided I would bring that format back for this. So today we find out, can you beat Pokemon Emerald using only gift Pokemon? The rules are simple. You can only use gift Pokemon. These are Pokemon that are directly given to you as opposed to being caught or traded, etc. No items used in battle either, that includes potions, revives, etc. Held items are allowed, but I'm only going to use them sparingly in this run. There is a grand total of 5 gift Pokemon available in Pokemon Emerald, but only 4 of these are available before the Elite Four. And yes, before you ask, I will be using my starter this time. I got plenty of comments last video telling me that my starter was a gift Pokemon. I did know that was the case, but I wanted there to be a little bit more variety in that playthrough, so I decided against using it. This time though, I am going to be using my starter Pokemon. As I said, there's only 5 gift Pokemon available to us, so I'm going to need every Pokemon I can get. This challenge shouldn't be too difficult, but I think it's going to be more difficult than the Crystal Challenge. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's begin. I choose the female character and name her Madoka. Comment down below if you get the reference. We start the game and are almost immediately given our first gift Pokemon. We get the choice of 3. Trico, Torchic or Mudkip. I decide to go for Trico because it's definitely the coolest of the 3. We travel north and face our rival Brandon. It's your standard rival battle, so we win easily. I travel back to the professor's lab and get the Pokédex, and we continue on our journey. Just a heads up, we are actually stuck with our starter for quite a long time. We don't get our next gift Pokemon until the 4th gym. I travel to Rustboro City and challenge the Rock-type gym leader, Roxanne. While fighting the gym trainers, Trico evolves into Grovyle. Thanks to our grass moves, this fight was really easy. The 2 Geodudes both go down in 1 Absorb, and Nosepass goes down in just 3. We get the gym badge and the TM for Rock Tomb. We're going to need that later. We talk to Mr. Briny and set sail for Dewford Town. Before taking on Brawly, we explore Granite Cave and talk to Steven, who gives us the TM for Steelwing. Brawly is a little bit more difficult. Machop is out first and almost takes us out with a few karate chops, but we're just about able to defeat it. Next out is Meditite, and all it does is try to use Focus Punch. We're eventually able to take it out with a critical hit Absorb and heal a lot of our HP back in the process. Brawly's last Pokemon is Makahita, who nearly takes us out with a few Vital Throws, but thanks to the HP we gained from Absorb, we managed to pull through. We win the battle and get the 2nd gym badge. We set sail once more, this time for Slayport City. We beat Team Aqua in the museum and head north towards Moorville City. On the way, we get challenged by our rival. He's got a lot tougher since last time. He starts off with Wingull, who goes down in 2 hits without too much trouble. Next, he sends out his now evolved starter, Combusken. I hit with Quick Attack as he uses Focus Energy. I get a critical hit the next turn, but he just survives and hits back with his own critical hit, taking us out. I train up 1 more level and learn the move Leaf Blade. I decide to get rid of Absorb. I try once again to beat Brandon. Wingull goes down easily. Combusken barely survives 2 Leaf Blades and does a little bit of damage to us, but we're able to take it out. His last Pokemon is Lombre. We take it out in 2 hits with Leaf Blade, winning the fight. We arrive in Moorville City, get the HM for Rock Smash, and then get the Mac Bike from the bike shop. Before we can take on the 3rd gym, we have to beat Wally. He's very weak and loses quickly. We can now face Watson, the electric-type gym leader. Watson leads off with Voltorb, but we easily 1-hit KO with Leaf Blade. Next up is Electrike, who also goes down to 1 Leaf Blade. Watson sends out Magneton next. It does manage to paralyze us and hit a few shockwaves, but faints in a few Leaf Blades. Watson's last Pokemon is Manectric. 1 Leaf Blade is not quite enough to take it out and he ends up healing a few times. He takes us down to low health, but thanks to our ability Overgrow, Leaf Blade is now a 1-hit KO, so we take it out and win the fight. On our way to the 4th gym, Grovyle grows to level 36 and evolves into Sceptile. We climb Mount Chimney and beat Team Magma with ease. We can finally get our 2nd team member. We talk to the old lady and get an egg. After running around for a while, it hatches into a Wynot. Wynot's a very difficult Pokemon to use, but I think I can make it work. I train it up a little bit and at level 15 it evolves into Wobbuffet. It's time to face the 4th gym leader, Flannery. I'm a little worried going into this fight as all of her Pokemon are Fire type, but it's not too bad. She starts off with Numel. Leaf Blade is not resisted thanks to his part ground typing, and it's a one-hit KO. Next up is Camerupt. It's bulkier than Numel but has the same type combination. It survives a Leaf Blade but decides to go for Tackle. She does heal it up, but 2 Leaf Blades is enough to take it out without any trouble. Next up, Flannery sends out Slugma. Obviously we outspeed it, and we get a lucky critical hit thanks to Leaf Blade's high critical hit ratio. Because of this it goes down in one hit. Flannery's last Pokemon is Torkoal. I decide to stay in and go for Leaf Blade. It does less than half as Torkoal hits with a powerful overheat. We barely survive it. I thought with Overgrow one more Leaf Blade would take it out, but she barely survives and takes me out with a Body Slam. I send out Wobbuffet as she heals up her Torkoal. I use the move Encore. This locks Torkoal into using Body Slam. She uses it again and does just less than half but paralyzes me. I retaliate with the move Counter and it just barely survives. I go for Counter again and she hits another Body Slam. We just survive, luckily don't get fully paralysed and counter to take it out. It was close, but we managed to pull through. As we leave the gym, we run into Brandon. He gives us the Go Goggles, which grants us access to the desert where we can find our next team member. We scale Mirage Tower and reach the top, where 2 fossils await us. We have the choice of the Root Fossil, which gives us Lilip, or the Claw Fossil, which gives us Anorith. I decide to choose the Claw Fossil because we already have a Grass type on the team, and I personally think Armaldo is cooler than Cradily. We travel back to Rustboro City and get the fossil revived into Anorith. We now have 3 team members. I teach Anorith the move Rock Tomb, as it doesn't actually learn too many good moves via level up. We travel back to Petalburg City and take on the 5th gym leader. This gym was actually a lot easier than Flannery's. He leads off with Spinder as I send out Sceptile. Because of our high level, we take it out in one shot. Next up is Vigoroth, who also goes down to 1 Leaf Blade. Next out is Lanoon. He actually survives a Leaf Blade, but his headbutt doesn't do much damage. He uses a couple of Hyper Potions, but a combo of Quick Attack and Leaf Blade is enough to finish it off. Norman's last Pokemon is his fearsome Slacking, so who better to send out than our level 21 Wobbuffet? I'm pretty sure that all of his moves are physical, so I choose to go for Counter. He hits with a Facade, and we just survive. And that's going to be enough so that Counter is a one-hit KO, winning us the battle. We get the HM for Surf, which means we can now access the route leading up to Fortree City. On the way, we have to take back the Weather Institute from Team Aqua. They go down easily and we're rewarded with our final team member before the Elite Four, and it's an underwhelming one. Castform. Castform's stats are nothing special, but at least it does have a gimmicky ability and good moves to back it up. I'll try to make the most of this Pokemon, but I'm not that optimistic to be honest. I teach it the move Shockwave via TM and move on towards Fortree City. Before that though, we get challenged by our rival. First up, he sends out Pelipper. I send out Anorith as we have Rock Tomb, which is super effective. We managed to take it out in 2 hits thanks to a critical hit. Next up is Combuskin. A few Rock Tombs takes it all the way down to red health, but unfortunately Anorith faints just before we can finish it off. I switch into Sceptile and take it out with a Quick Attack. Brandon's last Pokemon is Lombre, but it goes down in 1 Leaf Blade. Easy. Now we're finally in Fortree City, it's time to face Winona, the 6th gym leader. Not gonna lie, I was a little worried about this fight because of Sceptile's grass typing, but luckily now we have a couple more Pokemon on our team, it made this fight a lot easier. Winona starts off with a Swablu. I decide to lead with Castform and hit with a Shockwave. We get a critical hit, but it's not quite enough to finish it off. Swablu uses Perish Song, which faints both Pokemon in 3 turns unless we switch out. Of course she uses a Hyper Potion, and 2 more Shockwaves is not enough to finish it off. Castform's going to faint this turn, so I switch out for Anorith, but she has the same idea and switches into Tropius. I use Rock Tomb, which does just less than half as she goes for an Aerial Ace, doing about 40%. I go for Metal Claw this time to get Tropius into KO range, gaining an attack boost in the process. 1 Rock Tomb will surely be enough to finish it off as she charges a Solar Beam, and of course we miss.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Solar Beam hits, and needless to say, we are not surviving that one. I send out Castform again and hit with a 4-time super effective Powder Snow, which takes out Tropius. Back out comes the weakened Swablu, who goes down easily. We grow to level 30 and learn the move Weather Ball. This move is definitely going to be useful in the future. Next out is Pelipper. 1 Shockwave does a lot of damage, but not enough to take it out. She misses the Supersonic though thankfully, so 1 more finishes it off. Next up is Skarmory. Shockwave isn't enough to 2-hit KO, and we get hit with a Steel Wing. But luckily we get another lucky critical hit and take it out. As a side note, I never noticed until it was pointed out to me just how many lucky crits I seem to get in these videos. I should do a lucky crit counter or something next time. Winona's last Pokemon is her ace Altaria. I decide to stay in as I have a super effective Powder Snow. She outspeeds me and hits with a Dragon Breath, which almost takes us out. Despite the super effective hit, Powder Snow really doesn't do much damage, and Cast Form goes down to one more Dragon Breath. I decide to see if I can cheese 3 gym leaders in a row with Wobbuffet. I predict that she'll go for Dragon Breath, so I use Mirror Coat, but unfortunately she goes for Earthquake instead, so my move fails. I know I can take a couple more hits, so I go for Encore to lock her into whatever move she uses next. This happens to be Earthquake. I go for counter if she hits another Earthquake, and it's enough to finish it off, winning us the 6th badge. We can now move on to Lily Cove City. Before heading there, I travel south and get the TM for Giga Drain, and I teach it to Sceptile. We arrive in Lily Cove, where we face Brandon for the final time. His team really hasn't changed much since the last time, aside from his Lombre evolving into Ludicolo. Needless to say, we beat him with ease. There's a lot of Team Magma and Aqua stuff coming up, so I'll probably skip over most of this. We travel to Mount Pyre and get the Magma Emblem, and take it to the Magma base near Mount Chimney. At the end of the base, we find Team Magma's leader, Maxi. He starts off with a Mightyena as I lead with Cast Form. I set up a Rain Dance, making us Water type, and also turning Weather Ball into a powerful Water type move. One Weather Ball is enough to knock out Mightyena in one hit. Next up is Crobat. Obviously he outspeeds, and he confuses us with a Confuse Ray. We hit ourselves in confusion and get hit with a Wing Attack the next turn. Next turn we hit ourselves yet again and are hit with another Wing Attack, leaving us on red health. I try to use Shockwave again, but of course I hit myself in confusion 3 times in a row, and we faint. I send out Anorith, who also gets confused, but we're able to hit an Ancient Power which we recently learned via level up, and it does a lot of damage. He does heal using a Super Potion, but we're able to take it out without taking any damage ourselves. Maxi's final Pokemon is Camerupt. I stay in and go for Dig, which does about half as he hits with an Earthquake, which takes out Anorith in one hit. I swap into Sceptile though, and one Leaf Blade is enough to take it out. We defeat Maxi, and now it's time to take on Team Aqua. They don't pose any sort of threat though, so we beat them easily and move on to Moss Deep City where we can battle the 7th gym. Before fighting the gym leaders, I train Anorith up to level 40 and it evolves into Armaldo. Armaldo is a lot slower than Anorith, but it does have a much better attack and defense stat, so it should be a good addition to the team. It's time to fight the gym leaders, Liza and Tate. They lead off with Xatu and Claydol. I decide to start with Cast Form and our newly evolved Armaldo. I set up a Rain Dance with Cast Form, but Claydol hits both of our Pokemon with Earthquake. Unfortunately getting a critical hit on Cast Form, taking it out in one hit. Armaldo hits Xatu with an Ancient Power and we retaliate with a critical hit of our own, taking out Xatu in one hit. They send out Solrock next. I send out Sceptile and use Leaf Blade on Claydol. It does a lot of damage, leaving it on red health. Claydol uses Earthquake, which doesn't do too much to us, and Solrock replaces the rain with Sunny Day. I hit Solrock with Armaldo's Metal Claw and we get another critical hit. It's not enough to take it out though. I know they're going to heal Claydol, which they do, so I focus on taking out Solrock with Giga Drain. It goes down in one hit. Lunatone is out next as I did a little bit of damage to Claydol so that hopefully Sceptile can finish it off. Leaf Blade is enough to take it out with yet another critical hit. All that's left now is that Lunatone, who unfortunately outspeeds and takes out Armaldo before it can attack. I send out Wobbuffet as it's my last Pokemon and go for Leaf Blade with Sceptile. It's not quite enough, but even with the Citrus Berry healing it, one more Leaf Blade does the job. And yes, I did get another critical hit, not that it mattered anyway, but that's 4 in one battle. We win the fight, earning the 7th gym badge. Just one more to go. Before that though, even more Team Magma shenanigans. We have to fight Maxi in the Space Center, but we're forced to team up with Steven, so while they're not technically gift Pokemon, we're not the one using them, and Steven's Pokemon didn't really do much anyway. The fight was easy enough though. We get the HM for Dive from Steven and find the cavern where Team Aqua's base is located. On the way we get the TM for Earthquake, arguably the best move in the game. I decide to teach it to Armaldo. Archie wasn't too difficult. He starts with Mightyena as I send out Sceptile. One Leaf Blade isn't quite enough to take it out and he heals with a Super Potion. A couple more Leaf Blades are enough to faint it though. Next up is Crobat, so I switch into Armaldo. Annoyingly he hits us with a Confuse Ray and we end up hitting ourselves in confusion. Crobat hits with an Air Cutter as well, which does a decent amount of damage. We're able to hit this turn and Ancient Power does a lot of damage. Archie uses another super potion and once again we hit ourselves in confusion. Crobat hits with a wing attack, bringing us down to 11 HP. Thankfully we hit through confusion. I go for Rock Tomb as I ran out of PP on Ancient Power and take out Crobat. Archie's last Pokemon is Sharpedo. I swap into Cast Form and 2 Shockwaves are enough to finish it off. We travel to Sutopolis. Groudon and Kyogre are battling it out, and Kyogre is definitely winning. We enter the Cave of Origin and speak to Wallace. We follow him to the Sky Pillar and awaken Rayquaza. We travel back to Sutopolis and Rayquaza tells Kyogre and Groudon to go back to bed, which they do, and we can finally battle the 8th and final gym leader. Before challenging the gym, I buy the TMs for Thunder and Blizzard and teach both to Cast Form. We now have our full moveset: Rain Dance to change our type, Weather Ball for Water Stab, and Thunder, which is perfectly accurate in the rain. The final gym leader is Juan, the water type user. This shouldn't be too bad as we have Sceptile. First up is Lovedisk, a really weak Pokemon that has no business being on a gym leader's team, let alone the 8th gym leader. I send out Sceptile and 1-hit KO with Leaf Blade. Next up is Celio, who also faints to just 1 Leaf Blade. Next up is Kingdra. Leaf Blade does less than half as he goes for double team, raising his evasion. 1 more Leaf Blade isn't quite enough to KO and he goes for rest, fully healing himself. Not only that, he wakes up using a Chesto Berry. I go for Leaf Blade once more and get a critical hit, doing about 2/3 of his health. He goes for double team once again. 1 more Leaf Blade will take it out, but just my luck, I miss and he uses rest once again. I do hit the first Leaf Blade, but the next 2 both miss as he wakes up and hits me with an Ice Beam. I use Leaf Blade yet again and luckily get another critical hit, finally taking out the Kingdra. Next is Whiscash, who is 4 times weak to grass, so obviously it goes down in 1 hit. I go for Giga Drain and heal back almost all of my HP in the process. Juan's last Pokemon is Crawdont, who also goes down in just 1 Giga Drain. And with that we've collected all 8 badges. Onwards to the Pokemon League. We make it to Victory Road, but before we can progress, we get challenged by Wally. He's grown a lot stronger since we obliterated his Ralts back in Moorville. He starts with Altaria. I choose to send out Wobbuffet as it's my lowest level and really hard to train compared to the rest of the team, so it needs the XP. I predict he'll go for a flying move and I go for counter. I predict correctly and deal massive damage with counter, but not enough to take it out. We easily tank 1 more Aerial Ace and finish off Altaria with 1 more counter. Next up is Delcatty. I swap into Armaldo and outspeed it, hitting it with an Ancient Power. It does about half, but Armaldo becomes infatuated due to Delcatty's ability. Luckily we hit through the infatuation and take it out with 1 more Ancient Power. Wally sends out Roselia next. I swap into Cast Form and go for Blizzard, but unfortunately it misses and we get hit with a Leech Seed. We hit the next one though and it just barely fails to take it out. Roselia goes for Toxic, badly poisoning us. And of course, he heals the next turn as we go for Weather Ball. It's in KO range with Blizzard, but you guessed it, we missed. Roselia goes for Giga Drain, which takes us out after the Leech Seed damage. I swap into Sceptile and go for Strength, which does just more than half as he poisons us with Toxic. 1 more Strength is enough to knock out Roselia. Next up is Magneton, so I swap into Armaldo and 1-hit KO with Earthquake. Wally's last Pokemon is Gardevoir. He outspeeds and goes for Future Sight. I go for Ancient Power and get another critical hit which almost takes it out in 1 shot. Once again, Wally heals with a full restore. We hit with another Ancient Power, which takes it down to just above half HP. Gardevoir goes for Double Team and this time I try Earthquake, but it ends up doing roughly the same amount as Ancient Power, so it barely survives. However, Gardevoir goes for Future Sight again, so 1 more move will take it out. And we miss. Again.
What? You are going to jail.
I've never had so much good and bad luck in the same run. Gardevoir hits us with a Psychic and we just barely survive the hit, and go for Metal Claw. We don't miss and finally take out the Gardevoir, winning the fight. We travel through Victory Road and train up a few levels in preparation for the Pokemon League. It's now time to face the Elite Four. Before we do, here's a quick look at our team. We have Cast Form with the moves Thunder, Rain Dance, Blizzard and Weather Ball, Armaldo with Earthquake, Aerial Ace, Rock Tomb and Ancient Power, Wobbuffet with Miracle, Destiny Bond, Encore and Counter, and Sceptile with Giga Drain, Dragon Claw, Leaf Blade and Strength. Most of our Pokemon are around level 50, so I decide to try and beat the Elite Four at our current level. First up is the Dark type user, Sydney. He leads off with a Mightyena as I send out Sceptile. I outspeed and hit with a Leaf Blade which does over half as he lowers my accuracy with Sand Attack. This doesn't matter though, as I'm able to hit my next move and defeat Mightyena. Next up is Absol, so I switch out Sceptile for Armaldo. Absol outspeeds me and sets up a Swords Dance as I hit an Earthquake, which does a good amount of damage. Absol hits with a super effective Rock Slide, which brings us down to red health, but we're able to survive and finish off Absol with one more Earthquake. Next up is Crawdon, so I swap back into Sceptile and hit with a super effective Leaf Blade, which takes it out in one hit. Sydney's penultimate Pokemon is Shiftry. I swap into Castform and hit with a Blizzard. It's not quite enough to take it out though, as he hits with an extra Sensory, which doesn't do too much. Obviously he's going to heal, so I go for Weather Ball to take him into KO range next turn. Thankfully Blizzard doesn't miss and Shiftry goes down. Sydney's final Pokemon is Cacturn. I stay in and hit with another Blizzard, and Cacturn actually goes down in one hit, winning us the battle. Next up is the Ghost type user Phoebe. She starts with a Dusclops as I send out Castform. I go for Rain Dance on the first turn, which is good because she goes for Protect. Next turn I go for Weather Ball, which does a lot of damage, but not enough to KO as she hits me with Confuse Ray. Dusclops goes for Protect, but it doesn't matter as I hit myself in Confusion. I go for another Weather Ball, but hurt myself in Confusion yet again as Dusclops hits with a Shadow Punch. Luckily next turn I'm able to hit a Weather Ball, taking out Dusclops. Next up is a Banette, so I switch out Castform for Sceptile. I hit with a Leaf Blade for decent damage as she hits back with a Shadow Ball. I finish it off with a Giga Drain, healing back some of my HP in the process. Next up is Dusclops number 2. I decide to stay in and go for a Giga Drain. It does less than half as I get hit with an Ice Beam. I go for Giga Drain once again in the hopes that it will KO thanks to our ability Overgrow, but unfortunately it doesn't do enough. Dusclops brings me down to red health with a Shadow Ball. Not only that, but she heals some of her HP with a Citrus Berry. I go for Leaf Blade and get another critical hit. I'm not sure if that mattered or not, but I'll take it. Next up is our second Banette. I decide to stay in and go for Leaf Blade. Unfortunately Banette survives and finishes me off with a Shadow Ball. I swap into Armaldo and go for Ancient Power. She heals with a full restore, but 2 Ancient Powers are enough to take it out. Phoebe's last Pokemon is a Sableye. I stay in and go for Earthquake, which does a lot of damage as she sets up a double team. One more Earthquake is sure to take it out, but you guessed it, I missed again. Her Shadow Ball doesn't do too much damage though, so I'm not too worried. I go for Aerial Ace this time as it can't miss, but thanks to the lower power it isn't quite enough to take it out, and she heals again with another full restore. I hit a couple more Aerial Aces and bring it down to orange health. I risk going for an Earthquake and thankfully it doesn't miss and take out Sableye, winning us the second battle in the Pokemon League. Next up is the Ice type user Glacier. She starts off with a Celio as I send out Sceptile. I outspeed and hit with a Leaf Blade, bringing it down to orange health. She sets up a Hail though instead of attacking. I go for Dragon Claw to finish it off, but she heals with a full restore. This isn't an issue though, as one more Leaf Blade is enough to take it out. Glacier's next Pokemon is another Celio. I don't want to take a Blizzard or anything, so I swap into Castform and set up a Rain Dance so I can safely use Thunder. I go for it and it does a lot of damage, but she sets up a Hail once again. I don't want to miss Thunder, so I set up Rain again just to be safe and hit with one more Thunder, taking out Celio. Out next is a Glalie. I decide to stay in and make the most of the rain. I hit with a Weather Ball and it does a lot of damage, but not enough to one-hit KO. She goes for an Icy Wind. It doesn't do much damage, but it does lower my speed. Because of this, Glalie is able to outspeed me and finish me off with a Crunch. I don't think that critical hit mattered though. I swap into Sceptile to ensure that I outspeed it and take it out. Next up is our strongest Pokemon, Walrein. I stay in and hit with a Leaf Blade, which does about half. She hits back with an Ice Beam though and takes out Sceptile in one hit. I'm pretty sure that Armaldo is going to be slower, so I have no choice but to go into Wobbuffet. I'm pretty sure she's going to go for a special move, so I go for Miracoat. Thankfully, I was correct. She goes for Surf, which Wobbuffet manages to survive, and Miracoat is enough to take it out. Glacier's last Pokemon is another Glalie, so I swap into Armaldo. It does outspeed me, but it goes for Hail as I go for Ancient Power. It does a lot of damage, but not enough to finish it off. Glalie goes for Ice Beam. It's not enough to take me out though, and thankfully I don't get frozen. One more Ancient Power is enough to win the battle. The last member of the Elite Four is Drake, the Dragon-type specialist. This is the reason I taught Sceptile Dragon Claw. He starts off with a Shelgon. I go for Dragon Claw, but it's not quite enough to take it out. Thankfully, she misses her Rock Tomb, but heals the next turn with a full restore. A couple more Dragon Claws finish it off. Next up is Flygon. I decide to swap into Castform and go for Blizzard. Flygon outspeeds us and does a lot of damage with Earthquake. Luckily, we don't miss the Blizzard and it's enough to one-hit KO. Next up is Altaria, so I decide to stay in. I outspeed but unfortunately miss the blizzard as he sets up a Dragon Dance. This means that he now outspeeds us and takes Castform out with the double edge. I swap into Armaldo. Altaria sets up another Dragon Dance as I hit with an Ancient Power. It does a lot but not quite enough. Altaria goes for an Aerial Ace. Despite being +2, Armaldo takes it like a champ and finishes off Altaria. Next up is Kingdra. I decide to go into Wobbuffet as I think he can take a hit. I'm sure he'll go for a Water or Dragon move, so I go for Mirror Coat. Luckily, I'm correct. He goes for Surf and we manage to live the hit and take out Kingdra from full health with a Mirror Coat. Drake's final Pokemon is the terrifying Salamence. I swap into Sceptile and go for Dragon Claw. Unfortunately, it only does just less than half. He hits back with a Flamethrower which almost takes us out, but we just hang in there. I decide to go for Strength just to make sure it doesn't fall into full restore range, but the one time I didn't want a critical hit, of course I get one. It brings Salamence down to red health as he feints Sceptile with a Crunch. I swap into Armaldo and luckily Salamence eats a Citrus Berry, taking it out of full restore range. Salamence obviously outspeeds us and hits with a Rock Slide. If this KOs, we've definitely lost the fight. We survive with just 12 HP and hit back with an Ancient Power, which is enough to finish it off. We win the battle. All that's left now is the champion. The champion is none other than Wallace. He starts the fight with Wailord. I send out Sceptile and we're able to take it out in 2 hits without taking damage as he decides to set up Rain Dance instead of attacking. This is where we hit a brick wall though. Wallace's next Pokemon is Milotic. Sceptile's grass moves don't even do half and it single-handedly destroys my entire team with Ice Beam and Surf. I know I'm not going to be able to win this fight just yet, so I do a little bit more grinding and we try once more. Wailord once again goes down without much trouble, and next up is the dreaded Milotic. I stay in and hit with a Leaf Blade. Once again it does just less than half as we're hit with an Ice Beam. Thankfully we live the hit and we're now in Overgrow range. I go for Giga Drain and it's now enough to take it out, and we even heal up quite a lot of our HP in the process. Next up is Tentacruel. I know it's fast and grass isn't super effective against it, so I decide to swap into Wobbuffet. I'm expecting a water move, so I go for Mirror Coat. Thankfully I was right as he hits with a Hydro Pump. We just barely survive and hit back with Mirror Coat, taking it out in 1 hit. Next up is Ludicolo. I decide to stay in and use Destiny Bond to take it out with me, but unfortunately we get outspared and taken out before we can do that. I swap into Armaldo. Ludicolo outspeeds and goes for Double Team. Thankfully I went for Aerial Ace which can't miss and do about half of its HP. Ludicolo decides to go for a Leech Seed this time, but it doesn't matter as one more Aerial Ace is enough to take it out. Next up is Gyarados, so I decide to swap into Castform. I outspeed and hit with a 4x super effective Thunder. Unfortunately Gyarados just survives and sets up a Dragon Dance. Unsurprisingly, Wallace uses a full restore on Gyarados, but that's not all. We go for Thunder once again and miss. Really bad timing on that one. Gyarados now outspeeds because of Dragon Dance and hits us with a Hyper Beam. It's strong enough to take Castform out in 1 hit. I swap into Armaldo and hit with the super effective Ancient Power as he recharges. I get a very lucky critical hit and take Gyarados out from full HP. That's payback for missing Thunder. Wallace's last Pokemon is Whiscash, who's 4x weak to grass, so we swap into Sceptile and take it out in 1 Leaf Blade. We've done it. We've become the champion and beat Pokémon Emerald using only gift Pokemon. Or have we? There's one more challenge left to face before we can truly claim to have done it, and that's Steven. Before that though, there is actually one more gift Pokemon that is now available to us now that we're the champion. We travel to Moss Deep City and visit Steven's house. He's not there, but there is a Pokeball waiting for us, and inside that Pokeball is our final team member, Beldum. I do a bit more training before facing Steven, and in the process we evolve Beldum all the way to a Metagross. Metagross has stats on par with some legendaries, so it will definitely come in useful for the last fight. After a bit of training, I face Steven in battle. However, this turned out to be a huge mistake. We're only just able to beat his first Pokemon, Skarmory, before his second Pokemon, Cradily, wipes out the rest of our team, so I have no option but to grind a little bit more. I train a few more levels, especially with Metagross, until it learns the move Meteor Mash. Our team is a lot stronger now, so I try once again. Skarmory is out first, and Castform is able to take it out in 2 Thunders and a Blizzard. Next up is Aggron. I decide to stay in as I have a super effective Weather Ball. We outspeed, and much to my surprise, we actually take out Aggron in 1 hit. Next up is Cradily, so I send out Metagross. Our newly learned Meteor Mash is actually enough to take it out in 2 hits. Next, Steven sends out Claydol. I swap into Sceptile, outspeed and hit with the Leaf Blade for about half of his health. Claydol sets up a Reflect, so I decide to go for Brick Break next turn to get rid of it. This turn, however, Claydol goes for Light Screen, so we go for one more Brick Break and get rid of that too, and then we finish it off with a Giga Drain. Next up is Armaldo, so I swap back into Metagross. We successfully outspeed and hit with a Meteor Mash, which does over half as he hits back with a Water Pulse. It doesn't do too much damage, but he does confuse us. We go for Meteor Mash again. Thankfully we don't hit ourselves in confusion, but we miss the Meteor Mash. We're hit with another Water Pulse, but we manage to survive. This time we snap out of confusion and don't miss. Meteor Mash is enough to take it out. Last is Steven's strongest Pokemon, Metagross. But I have a plan. I swap into Wobbuffet. I'm not sure if he's going to go for a physical or special move, so I decide to go for Destiny Bond to cover both bases. He outspeeds and goes for Meteor Mash, and he misses. I got insanely lucky here. I use Destiny Bond, and on the next turn he goes for another Meteor Mash, and it hits this time, which takes out Wobbuffet in 1 hit. But thanks to Destiny Bond, Wobbuffet takes Metagross down with it. We beat Steven and beat Pokémon Emerald using only gift Pokémon. This challenge wasn't too difficult, but it was harder than the Crystal Run because of the lower amount of Pokémon available. Castform was better than expected, and Wobbuffet was the surprise MVP of the team despite being so underleveled. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for your continued support. What challenge shall I do next? Let me know in the comments below, and if I pick yours, I'll give you a shout out in the video. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.